40 years, who said that he quit because he thought it was education malpractice to use this in the schools.
That was Peggy Venable from the group Americans for Prosperity telling us yesterday about a hearing in Texas over the controversial school curriculum that's being used by about 3/4 of the state. We're now hearing more compelling testimony from Texas educators who call some of these lessons downright anti-American. Let's take a listen to what they told some Texas lawmakers.
Here is a lesson that I'm holding that asks our American students to design a communist flag. Imagine a new socialist nation is creating a flag, and you've been put in charge of creating a flag
based on progressive radical ideas of social constructivism, aka socialism, Marxism, and humanism, indoctrinating our children with liberal ideas sprinkled with anti-Christian, anti-American, pro-Islamic lessons.
I resigned as soon as I could find another job. I felt that I was aiding and abetting a crime, a fraud, a violation of civil rights and of human rights. Teaching C-Scope at Little League High School, I was like a surgeon forced to use filthy scalpels. So long as I cooperated, I was guilty of malpractice. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and get free.
Well, Republican Texas State Senator Dan Patrick is chairman of the Senate Education Committee. He presided over that hearing. Senator, thanks for being with us.
Sure, Allison. Great to be with you.
Wow, this curriculum has really struck a chord with parents and teachers alike. I mean, we just heard there one of the teachers crying, weeping, talking about how he basically couldn't compromise his principles to go along with this curriculum. What's so wrong with this curriculum?
Well, before I address that directly, what this brings attention to, Allison, is a bigger story, and that's online learning. And as chairman of education in the Texas Senate, I'm a big proponent of online learning. It is the future. In fact, it won't be that long in the distant future, except for some subjects where textbooks will probably be a thing of the past. It saves money for schools and taxpayers, and you're able to update an online course quicker than you can update a textbook, obviously, and it's how kids learn. But with that comes the responsibility and checks and balances. And the concern for myself and members of the legislature is that this C-Scope course has 1,600 lessons, and parents aren't able to see them, despite the fact that the law in Texas says parents should have access to what amounts to an online textbook, to be able to see what their students are learning. Because we all grew up at that time when, you know, mom and dad said, hey, let me see your textbook. What are you learning? And so there's great opportunities of online learning. But we have to have those checks and balances, because what happened in this case, clearly, Allison, and the testimony from those who were in charge of this program called C-Scope was that, well, as soon as we found the mistake, like they called our patriots at the Boston Tea Party terrorists, as soon as they found the mistakes, they said, well, that's not online anymore. Well, that's not the issue. The issue is it shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Yeah.
So what we're going to be looking at is how do we bring the checks and balances to online learning today and in the future so that parents know what is being taught.
This particular curriculum, the C-Scope as you describe it, it's used by 875 school districts in Texas. That's about 70% of the districts. Who came up with this curriculum?
Well, we have what are called regional service centers in the state of Texas. The state is divided into 20 regions, and they help our over 1,000 school districts. We have about 10% of all the school districts in the United States, and they assist them in some cases with shared buying or personnel, particularly since we have a lot of small school districts in the rural areas. And so they began this program originally to help teachers as a source to teach lessons, not to be the lesson. And over the years, it has grown into this huge program that, again, as you said, is in 70% of our school districts, and now the teachers are teaching directly from the lessons. That's not the way it should be. That's not the way it was intended, and we need to change that. On top of this, Allison, what was really shocking to me is they actually forced teachers to sign a contract that subjected them to criminal penalties if they exposed certain parts of the program. Now, they're going to change that, as they said in the committee. Again, yes, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, Senator Patrick, I actually want you to stand by, because I do want to let our viewers know what some of the objectionable parts of this curriculum are, because they're pretty hair-raising. So stick around, if you could, for 2 minutes. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk more about this curriculum and what you're going to do about it.
Thank you.